Hi everyone, I'm here today with this week's weekly reading wrap up, and I'm actually filming this a day early, and I'm proud to say that I've still read 3 books this week, which I feel is just absolutely fantastic. So this comprises of 1 Kindle book, 1 graphic novel and 1 audiobook, and I'm just so happy that I've had such a, for me, excellent reading week. So the first book I finished this week was Dearly Devoted Dexter by Lindsay, and this is the second book in the Dexter series. And this was my audiobook listen, and I gave this 4 stars, and I was torn between sort of 3 and 4 stars. This is the second time I've read this, it's a reread, and I enjoyed it, but I mean, you probably get this problem with all of the Dexter books anyway. I feel like they're just not as good as the TV show. And it's rare that you can feel like that about something, but I feel like they really did a fantastic job at bringing that TV show totally to life. I mean, you get sort of that experience anyway listening to the audiobook because Lindsay reads it himself. But I just feel like it's just missing that extra something. And I don't necessarily know what that extra something is, but it's not 100% there for me. I'm just missing something. But yeah, if you're not aware, Dexter is about a serial killer who tries to only kill bad people. And this sort of catches him up in this book a little bit in places. I'd say that this one is where the books really start deviating from the TV show. I mean, the TV show is slightly different to the book in the first book, but the second book, that's where it started really going quite different. Also, there is an angle that we are going down to do with his, like, almost stepchildren, his partner's children. I don't like the direction the book's taking us with that, and I do remember hearing about this, and this does become a thing later on in the series, and I'm not sure how I feel about this, but I'll wait and see. That is actually as far as I've ever read before, so when I pick up the 3rd book, maybe next month, or maybe not, maybe next month, I definitely will be reading that for the first time at that point. I know I've only read the first 2 books before. That is it. That is why I wanted to reread those first 2 books, because it has been probably about 10 years since I did read them. So I wanted to get those redone so I could refresh my memory, and now I am moving on to fresh ground with the rest of the series. So the second book I finished this week was my graphic novel, and that was a NetGalley read, and that was The Castoffs Volume 2, Into the Wastelands, by M.K. Reid and Brian Smith. I gave this 3 stars, and I received it from the publisher via NetGalley, and yeah, I wasn't that impressed by this one. I really enjoyed the first volume. I gave the first volume 4 stars, and again I felt that one was lacking something, but I thought that something might appear in this second volume, and it hasn't. So this is a graphic novel series that is set around 3 mages, and it's a really diverse graphic novel. It's got some really strong female characters, so it's really good in that sense because none of this feels forced. It just feels really natural and not just put in there just to make it so. It all feels really, like, true. But this volume was just lacking. Again, it was lacking something, and I'd say that this one felt like it was quite info dumpy in places, which was kind of handy because it helped set up a bit more to do with the world and everything. But on the other side of things, I don't know. I didn't feel gripped until the sort of final maybe 20 pages, which just wasn't any good. And while that final 20 pages really packed quite the punch, especially the very ending, I was like, oh my god, what is with that ending? So now I'm going to have to pick up the 3rd volume because it got me hooked. But I should have been feeling that hook all the way through, not just at the very end, because there was nothing to make me want to read it until that point, to be honest. The final book I finished this week was my Kindle read, and it's actually one of my TBR bucket picks from a couple of weeks ago, and that is A Pocket Full of Shells by Reinhardt. And yeah, this one was such a little surprise gem. I gave this book 4 stars. It's a historical fiction set in 1846 in Ireland during the Irish potato famine. And while it is set in Ireland, you do get a sort of viewpoint of the trip over to England, people working in England to try and just feed their families, people travelling to America to try and feed their families. trying to get a better life for themselves. And you also do get a good idea of just how desperate things got in Ireland too. And this is the first book I've ever read on this subject, but I feel like it's probably quite an accurate representation of how it would have been, because the author is Irish herself and she's got family that lived through this, that have documented sort of how their lives went through this. And so I feel like this was probably quite, you know, truthful in the storytelling. That said, I did have my issues with this book to begin with. I found it quite difficult to get into. I wasn't really properly into it for the first half maybe, but then once I got into it, wow was I into it, and it blew me away from there on. I got so attached to all the characters. I really want to know more about this family, and this is a series, so I am definitely going to be picking up the second book as soon as I possibly can. I'm going to hunt down this series and I'm going to read the rest of it because I just want to know more now. I fell in love with the characters. The writing, once I got used to it, was fantastic. It was quite a short read and a quick read therefore, so I've got so much praise for this book and I highly recommend it. So it's now time for another TBR bucket pick. Let's give it a go. I find this is one of the most exciting things of my week these days. Like, I have to pull one out. It's so exciting every time. Oh, it's one that I literally only bought last month. I obviously didn't do a very good dip there, or else didn't mix these up very well. But this is in my last book haul, this one, and it's Summer at Hope Meadows by Lucy Daniels. And I do remember that this is the author of the Animal Arc series, and I just happened to buy it on a whim last month because it was 99p when I was doing some researching around this author, and I wanted to try out more of her work. So this will be a nice children's book for me to pick up. I will probably get to this one soon because it's nice to break up your reading with something that you know is going to be quick and easy and fun. So yeah, can't wait to get to that. What a wonderful pick. I'm so happy. So please let me know what you have read recently, if you've read any of these books. If you want to read any of these books, please discuss them more with me down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe by clicking the image of me just there if you want to see more book reviews and other bookish content from me. And I will see you tomorrow with a book review. Bye bye!